of Operation Hope, etc., etc. And I'm here with my friend Zondwa Mandela, who is the grandson of Winnie Mandela and Madiba, the big man, Mr. Nelson Mandela, or President Mandela, whatever you want to call, founder, president, visionary,
father of the nation,
father of the nation,
mother of the nation,
mother of the nation, inspirer of modern mankind, along with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., whose church is right through the window, about a mile away from where we are right now. So we're saluting this beautiful legacy. But at the moment, before we start anything, and I'm honored to serve on his advisory board for the Mandela Legacy Foundation.
And thank you for that. I think it's we appreciate that.
My deep honor. We'll talk about what that means in a moment. You get a chance to meet Zondwa Mandela and talk to him through our live feed on Facebook. But before we start anything else, we just had a hilarious moment. My man's like Steve. He's like serious African. Like, I think I'm black, but he's really black. Like, I'm like, man, this is really black. This is a real black man. And so we're talking about, Africa. I love Africa. I got Africa on my arm. And my man's like, yeah, man. I was here a week ago, and it's really hot in Georgia.
The heat in Atlanta, I mean, it doesn't get this hot in South Africa. I know everyone thinks of the African sun, but it's like, compared to this, it's a crisp sun. I mean, it's like, here, it feels as if one is in a sauna. I mean, I love Atlanta. I love, Georgia and everything. People are fantastic, but the humidity is a lot to deal with.
So he was my color when he first got here, and he crisped up. But it's hilarious listening to somebody from Africa, where the sun is direct. Like why are black people in Africa dark? Because it's hot. Because the sun is direct sunlight. To hear my man talk, to say, oh man, it's really hot in Georgia. Because I was like giving my friends a bunch of crap, like saying it was hot in Georgia. I'm like, man, you don't know what hot is. And my man's like, no, you don't know what hot is. It's the humidity.
Yeah.
It's cooled down now.
Yeah.
Last week it was intense. Luckily I was out of town last week. But as you can see, he has a sense of humor. He's a very good guy. He has a great spirit about him. And so Zondwa Mandela, who is a businessman in his own right, and it's always a bit of a heavy burden when you're carrying another legacy around, by the way. It's really hard being yourself.
Of course, I mean, without a doubt. And I'm glad you mentioned, where we come from. I mean, I've always been a person that's interested in business. And I think I touched on this also in one of our conversations that, business on its own is an experience. I've had good experiences in business. I've had bad experience in business. But the point is really how you're able to overcome and never allow, the manner in which people want to interpret your intentions ever affect you. Because I think we're all destined for greatness, and it's really our ability to overcome challenges and really follow our conviction and our intention. And that's really why we're here. I mean, a lot of the work that we do is about giving hope and inspiration to those that have lost that hope. And
a little bit about hope, just a little bit.
It's and it has to be an ideal equation of addressing human rights, but understanding that human rights, as justice for all, equality for all, has to be answered by being able to create something sustainable. Yeah. And I think the only way to create something sustainable is to focus on the economy. So we're really about economic stimulation by job creation.
Yeah, which is in many ways a natural extension of the work of both your grandfather, Mr. Mandela, and your grandmother, Winnie Mandela. Tell the story about. People know about, of course, the great Mandela, but Mr. Mandela, but they don't necessarily know so much about Winnie's contribution. So I've always said, behind every successful man is an exhausted woman. What was the conversation? One of the conversations behind closed doors between grandfather and grandmother dealt with this issue of what I call civil rights and civil rights.
Sure. I mean, it's one thing I commend my grandparents for is they were very steadfast on the need for education, right? So, I mean, my grandfather would say, you can be whatever it is you want to be. If you wanna do music, go for it. If you want to be an artist, go for it.
Really?
If you want to be a lawyer, if you want to be a chef, but just for as long as you study, right? So discipline was very important in the form of educate yourself, right?
On something.
Yeah, educate yourself
Yeah.
so that no one could actually ever take away that, that education. So education is a form of discipline so that you're able to apply it.
And a form of empowerment.
Of course. And, my grandmother agreed with that. And she,
Miss Winnie Mandela.
yeah. And she completely supported that vision. She was equal to the task in terms of also being an ambassador for education. But she would always say that education without an opportunity is in itself a liability. Especially when you look at the youth. It's fantastic to educate the youth. Let's educate them. But if you're not going to create opportunity for them to actually apply that discipline, then all you're going to create is a despondent demographic, a demographic that loses hope, and if anything, a certain level of volatility or liability that a country may have to deal with. So when you look at South Africa to date and why we actually have this call to action about job creation is that between the demographic of 18 to 35, you've got one of the largest unemployment rates. And I'll be honest with you, I'm tired of even repeating the statistics because last year, we were looking at 27%. It's risen to even close to 50% now, right?
In this group.
In this particular group, which we should identify as the educated and working class, right?
Educated and working class. Yeah.
Correct, in terms of that demographic of 18 to 35. But if you then look further into that demographic, 65% of those people are in fact women.
Wow.
So the issue of unemployment...
Trying to take care of a household, trying to take care of children.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
You're spot on. That,
literally the mothers of the nation.
You see, and so if we are conscious about driving opportunity, you need to really then impact, where it actually matters most. And so yes, we create opportunity for many, but by being able to create jobs for women, I think we're able to do a lot for a community.
Yeah, and in many ways, what you're talking about is happening in South Africa. It's a mirror image in many ways of America. Our inner cities in Detroit have a 40% unemployment rate amongst young people. Our inner cities in Chicago, South Chicago, have an unemployment rate approaching 40% for some of the young people. It's not the older demographics, but it's like 18 years and younger.
Yeah.
That here you have this crisis of 70% of black households run by women. Often single parent households where they're holding down two jobs and got too much month at the end of their money and trying to carry the whole weight on their shoulders. But we have a lot more infrastructure and support here in the U.S. than one has in South Africa. Let me give you another number that's stunning for South Africa. About 5 million taxpayers in South Africa, about 50 million, 55 million, give or take, people all told. So 50 million folks who are not paying taxes, 5 million who are paying taxes. That 5 million who are paying the taxes feel this burden, this shoveling on their shoulders, and a little resentment, probably, pride that they're helping supporting the nation. But they also, I think, feel that this is not sustainable. Then you got those who are in the 50 million category who feel they'll never get to the 5 million category, so there's a resentment. And then that becomes more corrosive than race. So racial challenges are real, but the class challenges, the issues of poverty, are really debilitating.
Yeah.
And I keep saying the real issue in South Africa and in the world is poverty.
Correct.
Poverty of mind, poverty of pocket, poverty of opportunity.
And it's, for us, it's really been about answering that question because, we've literally been grappling over time as in, what is it that you need to address? Because if we wanted to, highlight all these social issues that exist from health, unemployment, poverty, environmental issues. There's so many social issues, but the question is, what's the one thing we believe could actually address these things? And for us, it was saying economic stimulation is critical.
That's it.
I mean, if you look at Africa as...
Economic stimulation and education.
Correct, yeah.
Economic stimulation and skills education.
And financial literacy.
And financial literacy.
Yeah.
You can see, you hang around me talking about financial literacy. Right?
It has to do with economics and financial understanding, Because if you look at Africa as a whole, 17% currently of the world's population is in Africa.
17% of the entire world population. It's approaching 1 billion people, right?
I mean, look, it's by 2050, right? By 2050, it's believed that 26% of the world's population will be in Africa. So
a quarter of the whole world's population will be in Africa.
And the reality is that that's either going to become an opportunity for all of us, or it's going to become a liability. And the sad thing is that if there's a lack of economic stimulation, then one party leans too much on the other.
Yes.
And what we don't want is for Africa to become, a need, or rather to become a burden for the rest of the world.
Yes.
And the only way you're going to actually address that and actually create a certain level of independence within Africa is actually to now aggravate the economy of Africa, stimulate it, ensure that everyone is self-sustainable,
yes,
create a job for everyone, allow them
yes,
to participate in the economy,
yes,
and I think then you can address so many social ills.
Yeah, so education, financial literacy, health, wellness, mental and spiritual uplift, which comes from having opportunity and hope to operationalize. You can have dignity, Ubuntu, I mean because you are you,
Yeah.
In South Africa, and to then have this this sense of people having fishing poles that they're putting in their own individual pond to take care of their families,
Yeah.
and be an asset contributor, a net contributor to their nation and their world. Everybody wants that, and this is a business plan for the world. Now, what Zondwa has done, which is different from a lot of people that I've talked to, is that he's not just a PhD in thought, he's a PhD in thought. So he has partnered with Mark and Ross and some other people that I respect and admire, and that are in his team, that are on his team. And I want to commend and thank, by the way, the folks who were with us the last time that Zondwa Mandela came to South Africa with Ambassador Andrew Young. First of all, Ambassador Andrew Young, for whom we all got together when we were in South Africa,
Yeah.
who introduced us to this opportunity, who's our godfather for so many things and worked with your grandparents in so many ways.
Yes.
And we don't appreciate all the stuff that Ambassador Andrew Young has done and continues to do, including building the city that we're in right now. Atlanta is into the only international city in the South. But when we came here, a couple of the hosts from a couple of the participants in our delegation, along with me, hosted you.
Correct.
And my
correct.
wife, Shatra,
Yeah.
hosted you for a reception with leaders here a couple months ago.
And it's
No,
so,
no.
and I mean, look, it's a continuation of that, and maybe just also kind of, because I think we've touched a lot on why we do what we do, and maybe to give people an expression as to how we do it is maybe important. So,
Yes.
so Mandela Legacy has managed to collaborate with the best of class in terms of the work that we do, and we identified the BPO sector, which is a fancy word for call centers, as one of those industries that have the ability to stimulate the economy.
Yeah, so first of all, everybody watching, okay, are you proud? I mean, listen to the articulation, the beautiful language that's coming through. Which dialect in Africa is this, by the way, that you speak? You're close to, how many languages do you speak?
I'm closer, but I'm speaking English.
I know, but the accent is. People always tell me you have an accent. I don't have an accent.
And it's funny you mentioned that, because this is the uniqueness about South Africans. And look, there's a lot more of me there.
Right.
That our dialect is understood by many other people of the world, and that's why we believe South Africa has the best human resource. And from a BPO point of view, business process outsourcing, for those that don't know, we're saying that South Africa can actually be an outsourced destination for big American.
See how he let me walk right past that? He does not let me focus on him. I'm going to finish this. I'm so proud of him. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to what you're doing. But for the audience watching this, for the audience around the world, I have a huge African audience, by the way. I want you to be proud. One of the comedians said, "Oh, he speaks so well. He speaks so well." He said, "What do you expect him to say?" But when you do hear somebody who is so naturally eloquent, who is obviously intelligent, who is standing for something that is about something larger and more important than himself, and he looks like you, it has to give you a sense of pride. So I don't care if it embarrasses him, and he wants me to move on as quickly as possible. But by the way, his humility is another mark of good leadership. I want you to put in your notes, or give a thumbs up if you agree with me that this is the pride of South Africa, at least one of the prides of South Africa, and we should want to have 1 million more just like them. And you are carrying on the beautiful legacy of your grandparents in a way that we all, I think, admire. And my friend Bernice King here in Atlanta, and Martin Luther King III and Dexter King are carrying on Dr. King's legacy here. Ambassador Bo Young and the children of Ambassador Young are carrying on his legacy. And you are carrying on the legacy of your grandparents in the most beautiful and precious way. Now you can pivot to the business plan.
Okay, cool. And so I was at that particular point of highlighting the uniqueness and the talent pool of South Africans. You know, we as an organization pride ourselves in this major human resource with so much talent that all it is, it's really about how do you unlock this talent. Yeah. So in a free market economy, we're saying corporate America, forget about India, forget about the Philippines. If you want best customer service, if you want efficiency, if you want quality, if you want passion and drive, consider South Africa as an outsourcing destination. I mean, collectively with the fantastic team you've mentioned, we've been able to create close to 10,000 jobs opportunities.
So wait, hold on. So this is not theory, right? The Mandela Legacy Foundation, in partnership with CareerBox, has already put to work 10,000 plus
Correct.
South Africans.
Correct.
Train them, place them, giving them gainful employment,
Correct.
and soon training from Operation Hope 2, hopefully. But that's already done.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
impressive.
Correct.
So it's not a dream.
Yeah.
It's a dream that's been made real, and now they want to scale it. And I think it's fair to say, because there's enough opportunity to go around, it's not or India or the Philippines, it's and South Africa.
Yeah.
We think there's enough opportunity for South Africa too.
Correct. And I mean, you know, we want to thank the brave American people that have supported us. They've also been brave American companies that have actually taken this leap. You know, you're looking at companies such as Metro of T-Mobile. You're looking at Spirit Airlines.
These are your clients?
These are American clients, you know, who have
of CareerBox and of the foundation.
Correct.
The call
Correct.
center.
Doing the call centers
Fantastic.
in Durban have taken that step, a very incremental step, but you know they're upscaling on a regular basis. You know, we've got clients such as Altice, Nature's Bounty. You know, just to mention a few. But you know, like I'm saying, it's not enough.
Yeah.
You know, the numbers are so high.
Yeah.
That
the need is so great.
The need is so great. We need to now ensure that there's enough supply. So I implore to many individuals listening, people who've got the right influences from a corporate point of view, take a stand and, you know, be brave enough to actually take this journey with us. But the point is, it's going to be the beginning of something great, because either way, we're going to make it happen. And I know that with a coalition of the willing, such as yourself, John, and thank you for being so supportive, I think collectively we can create and motivate society to actually share in this vision, and we can impact the lives of Africa and ensure that Africa really becomes one of the greatest nations that is destined to be.
Almost 1 billion people now and growing.
Correct.
And if you want to have a chance to make a change in this world, if you want to be the change we want to see in this world, if you want to say that you had a hand in continuing the unfinished work of Nelson Mandela and Winnie Mandela, if you want to feel that your life is about more than a paycheck, more than a schedule, more than a to-do list, more than even raising children, which is a noble cause, if you want to live for something larger and more important to yourself, you're watching this video, you're watching this live broadcast, you want to help, first of all, you can put your comments below this video and we will respond to it. Zondwa does not have a Facebook page yet, but we're going to solve it. But he will respond and I will respond, and on LinkedIn we will respond.
Definitely.
And on IGTV and Instagram we will respond. You'll get responses from us directly to you and some of your comments. But if you are a person who wants to help, and you know an employer, any major company they probably use a call center. I called my cable company over the weekend, and clearly the person who answered was not down the street. Clearly they were in India, even though they were asking me about the weather down there. I'm like, hey, look, you don't need to ask me about the weather. Just, I know you're in another country. I appreciate you helping. Can you just give me my cable working? But the point is, everywhere you call now, you have outsourced use of call centers.
Correct.
So if you know a major company, you have influence with the leadership, or maybe you are watching and you run one of these companies, here's an opportunity. Won't cost you another dime. Won't cost you another dime.
In fact, you should be making a lot more money in the long run. Improved customer service is great profitability for many companies.
And as you said, the folks in South Africa speak English.
Correct. A lot of cultural affinity.
This beautiful dialect, but it's when the person with this call center, clearly English was their second or third language, because the communication was not smooth. But we cannot stress this point enough. When you go to the Philippines, or you go to China, or you go to Korea, or you go to India, or wherever, to use a call center, the English is the second or third language of the people who are on the phone. When you go to South Africa, it is in many cases their primary language. They had it parallel with their home dialect.
Correct.
So, American companies, you're getting a North American experience in South Africa, and you're getting it with beautiful customer service, a beautiful spirit, at no additional cost. You can do well and do good. I want you to go to the Mandela Legacy Foundation, MandelaLegacy.Foundation, and put in your information. Let them know that you want to be helpful. If you are an individual and you just want to contribute some money, or you want to volunteer your time as they get more robust with their work, they're partnering together with Operation Hope, by the way, and our Hope Inside locations, Hope Inside the workplace, helping the employees that are being placed through CareerBox, in place with the Mandela Legacy Foundation, with the call centers, helping those employees to strengthen their financial resiliency, as we are doing for AT&T, as we're doing for UPS and Delta Airlines, and now KKR and other companies will now be doing for their association. So if you want to help him, you are indirectly helping me. You don't have to help my mission, but if you like Operation Hope, you support Operation Hope, support him. Support what they're doing, because they're going to be working with us. You can donate money, not asking you for that. You can donate time, not asking you for that. You can use your influence as a force for good. I am asking you for that. Share this video, put it on your page, make comments, create conversations with your friends. And if you know somebody who's leading a company that uses a call center, I want them to reach out to the Mandela Legacy Foundation or CareerBox and indicate your interest in doing well and doing good. Zondwa, anything?
No, thank you. I think it's once again, be brave enough, as John said. We truly appreciate any support that we can get, and I think just everyone needs to know this is really about the stimulation and giving great opportunity to those that deserve it most.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, Amanda, are there any outlier questions that you want us to address before we wrap up? And Mark, is there a website for CareerBox you want me to raise?
Careerbox.co.za.
Careerbox.co.za.
Yep.
.za.
Yep.
Careerbox.co.za. See, he says that like everybody understands career websites in South Africa. I had to slow him down. Like we have .com here and .org right here. He's like using a whole nother language. It's careerbox.co.za. That is for CareerBox, and then we have the Mandela Legacy Foundation, which is Mandela Legacy Foundation. Right. Okay. Before we wrap up, any questions or comments you want to?
I don't see questions. I see a lot of positive comments about what you guys are doing.
So people are supportive of his mission.
Yes.
So
very.
All of the top fans of this page and our work, thank you very much. I promise you I'll go back in and make comments this evening when I slow down. Tell us something personal, something that people wouldn't know about you before they wrap up. They didn't know you were a businessman. But this legacy is on your shoulder. Is that a burden or is it a gift?
I mean, look, look, I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to be living my calling.
Yeah.
And so that really makes me happy. But I think what people have to understand is that how I define legacy is that this is not for me for self-gratification. I think in the same way a legacy was passed down by my grandparents, I am simply at this particular moment a caretaker of it. I want to at least ensure that by the time I'm not here, my children, the generation that comes after me, has the ability to take care of something and ensure that they can grow it even further. So I think people just need to understand that the legacies need to be built, nurtured, and taken care of whilst we're here and able to. And when the time is right, give it to those that have the energy to continue it. So that's why I'm here. I'm a caretaker of something that's greater than me and much more important than me.
Fantastic. And if you want to help Zondwa, send him an umbrella. So next time he comes to Georgia, he doesn't get hit by the heat and the humidity. He's a great guy, and I'm enjoying getting to know him. And I thank you all for all of your support. Be the change you want to see in the world. Have a legacy. Live your best life. If you've not been to South Africa, do yourself a favor. Give yourself a gift. Don't buy yourself another pair of Louboutin shoes, lady. Go buy yourself a plane ticket and go to South Africa and change your
I mean,
life.
you've got direct flights from Atlanta straight into Johannesburg.
Right.
I mean, United Airlines is also going to be creating a direct flight into Cape Town. So I think people have got no excuses. I think there's a direct flight from New York and Washington into Johannesburg. So
Yeah.
the opportunity is there.
And there's nobody swinging through trees. There's no. It's a modern city. I mean, actually, it's got better infrastructure than here in the United States. I mean, it's cutting edge. It's absolutely gorgeous. You will be so proud. The South African fashion, the food, the culture, the intelligence, the joy, and you'll come back proud, energized. You'll go on a safari, I'm sure. You'll see the Big Five, and you'll see where all humanity began. Africa. Peace and light.
Thank you.
Thank you.